Okay, so it is officially spooky season. So I figured that we would kick off the spooky season by playing Dead by Daylight and talking about the most spooky subject of all, mental health and content creation. I know that's a bit random, but a friend
What
had texted me. We're
secret?
going to be playing as the Wraith, by the way. That's why he's in the thumbnail. A friend of mine had texted me and she said, "It's kind of meta, but maybe you could do a video about how it is dealing with mental health while content creating." And as a mentally ill person who makes content and has actually used this game to cope with certain things, I feel like this is a great topic for me to talk about. So if you are new here, hi, my name is Tyler, I make gaming videos, and I don't talk about it as much, but I am mentally ill. I have been professionally diagnosed with bipolar 2 and MDD, or major depressive disorder with psychotic features. I also have just a lot of anxiety, a lot of which comes from the fact that I'm also diagnosed on the autism spectrum, and I have yet to have a official diagnosis for this, but I do have strong reason to believe that I may have borderline personality disorder. So I'm gonna be honest. This, for the longest time, has not really affected content creation because for the longest time, content creation to me was purely just for fun. Maybe I would make the occasional, like, venti video here and there. Ooh. Did they update the lighting? This looks really good. Hello? But yeah, for the longest time, it was just purely for fun. Yeah, more recently, I have more been. It's kind of turned into somewhat of a job. Not a job that's paying well, but a job nonetheless. She don't know I'm here. She don't know I'm here. It has turned into somewhat of a job, and because my stress levels are constantly so high, that has been somewhat of a stressor. So that has been something to deal with. Also, being bipolar, obviously I have, hypomanic and depressive episodes. I hope, masking it well in my voice, but I am in a depressive episode as we speak, and it does make it harder to focus and do the thing. Let's take her here. Let's go. That person's trying to blind me. We're not gonna let them blind me. Where's a hook? Here's a hook. I'm scared to leave her because I know they updated some stuff that makes it a bit harder for killers, like, to know if she's still there. Like, it doesn't show her icon anymore, so I don't know if she's there all the time, see? But yeah, autism is probably the hardest thing. It's not a mental illness, so it feels a bit weird to bring it up in that conversation, but being autistic has had a lot of impact. I mean, the whole reason I started my channel in the first place is because I was really hyperfixated on Five Nights at Freddy's, and I didn't really have a lot of people to talk to about that hyperfixation, so I made videos instead. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Survivor found? I don't see no one. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, they're over here. What the fuck? Oh, god damn it. I'm realizing as I'm playing this, I'm playing it because it's spooky season, but, like, my god, it is so hard to multitask with this game. Like, I'm trying to focus on what I'm saying, but also, I can't because I'm playing this game and it requires so much. Oh, she got off my shoulder at some point. Okay. But yeah, depression is, like, that's the big one in terms of interfering with content creation because it's kind of hard to explain to somebody if you've never, like, dealt with clinical depression before, but it just, like, saps all of your energy and motivation and shit, which obviously, especially on YouTube, which is such, like, a high energy, everyone has, like, a high energy kind of persona, that can make it a bit difficult because it's like, well, I don't have that energy and I don't even really care right now because nothing matters, to pretend like I have that energy, and it just makes the whole thing a pain in the ass. So yeah, that's the big one. The thing about this topic is I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. There's also, the flip side of bipolar disorder, which is the manic episodes, although those aren't, like, disruptive enough in my case for me to have anything to say about it, really. Oh, I am not winning this game. As I said, I have bipolar 2, which consists of hypomanic episodes, which have more or less the same symptoms as full-blown mania, but aren't nearly as long. Off the top of my head, I mean, I've had my channel for like 10 years. Off the top of my head, I can't think of an example of like filming while manic. Maybe it's happened, maybe it hasn't. Either way, it's not notable enough of like a disruption or a motivator because you know you have so much energy in those moments. I could say hypothetically if I were to like try to film during a hypomanic episode, I can imagine it would be difficult because it's hard for me to stay on one thought and like focus and articulate myself clearly because I'm so, oh, thank you, lady. Okay, because I'm so like wired. But again, it doesn't really come up. Depression is the big one that interrupts things. I will say, I've started scheduling out my videos like ahead of time, like so they automatically go up at certain times. And I will say, the like previous week at the time of filming this, I was actually in a psych ward. Yeah, I'll just come out and say it. I was in a mental hospital for about a week. The previous time I had been in a psych ward was before I started scheduling out, and there was a clear dip in analytics because I wasn't uploading for like however many days I was in there. But now since I pre-schedule stuff out, stuff like that isn't really an issue, really. I think a lot of people when you hear about oh, mental health and content creation. It's this idea that like one causes the other, like the content creation causes like mental health problems, and that absolutely can be true for people, especially people who are like on a huge scale. I know they talk about it in videos and stuff. It will chip away at your mental health.
As you slow down, like there is the element of the numbers then start going down because you're not making as many videos, the numbers go down anyway. So there was that point of like, I always had that fear if I stopped, then it would all disappear because the internet's fast moving. So like someone could just, I felt like I could be forgotten overnight. So that was like a driver for making the videos, but then also a struggle when I was like, oh, I do need to slow down. But that fear of them falling off completely was quite scary.
Because your identity is so linked to this very public thing and like the expectations and a lack of privacy that come with that. I'm at a point where that's not an issue for me. I mean, I have like 3,000 subscribers, which I'm very grateful for, but it's not like on some huge scale that's chipping away at my mental health. I do get a lot of unkind comments, but like they don't really bother me. Mainly because like if you're spending your free time bullying some random autistic 18-year-old on the internet, then like that says a lot more about you. Like I'm not bothered if some rando thinks that I'm like annoying or ugly or something because why would I? So yeah, I do know that's a thing, but sorry to disappoint. I don't really have much to say about it. The content creation isn't like a trigger or whatever for my mental health issues, but sometimes if I'm particularly depressed or anxious or, whatever, then that can negatively affect my ability to make content, even if one does not necessarily cause the other. For me, in my case. And I did allude at the beginning, I said that this game has helped me deal with mental health stuff and has actually used this game to cope with certain things. That might sound very strange because this is not a particularly calming game by any means. I mean, it's less stressful if you're like me and you mainly play as killer, but it's like a horror game. Like it's a cat and mouse game. You don't hear cat and mouse and think, "Oh, yes, soothing." But for me, it has helped specifically in terms of I won't lie, I do occasionally deal with homicidal thoughts, violent thoughts. And obviously, it's not something I would ever like act on, but it can make it difficult to focus and deal with that feeling in any sort of way. But this is the game, especially since, maining as killer, where I can deal with those thoughts without it necessarily being like a huge disruption. Hey, buddy, you don't know I'm right here. But this game has helped. I really want to do like more stuff with this game for content. I just always forget to. As you can tell, it's not necessarily the best game for me to try to like talk about a different topic while playing. Ooh, the fuck is that? Oh, there's multiple. I don't like that. But yeah, I guess the last thing to say would be like my thoughts on if you should do content creation if you deal with a mental illness. Because there have been a good number of instances where people, not even necessarily content creators, but like musicians and stuff as well, have had some sort of like mental health crisis and it was very public. Like, that's just a vulnerable thing for people to see on such a level, especially because mental illness in general is so stigmatized. So people are like, oh, this person lost their mind. And it's like, well, that's not a great way to see it. Like, maybe, perhaps, they were just struggling with something. You know, as people tend to struggle with things. If you have never struggled before in your life, I'm not sure I quite trust ya. Hey, Steve Harrington from hit show Stranger Things. It's so weird seeing Joe Keery in Dead by Daylight. It is something to consider if you like, or like, I struggle with mental illness and I want to be a content creator. It is something to keep in mind that it could be a negatively affecting sort of thing. However, I also believe that like you shouldn't not do something that you want to do just because of a condition. Obviously, that's not always possible. People have disabilities and things that will quite literally make them unable to do the thing. But if you're able to do the thing and you want to do the thing, I think go for it. Just also be aware that doing the thing could be negative towards your mental state. I like messing with this guy because he doesn't know what to do whenever I cloak myself. Oh, y'all are all right here. Okay, I'll just chill here, see if anyone comes. Oh, that was a close one. I think caution should be exercised with any sort of job if you have any sort of condition that might affect the job. And definitely with something like content creation, because content creation can notoriously be stressful. On the flip side, I think that content creation can actually be beneficial towards, you know, your mental health. You can use it to try to process certain emotions that maybe you're dealing with, even if you don't have like a mental illness. Just if you're struggling mentally with anything or physically with anything, you can make a video talking about it or processing it in some way. I do believe that some of the best art or content or whatever oftentimes comes from a place of struggle because it feels more real. Great example is Bo Burnham's Inside. I mean, that also deals a lot with like the kind of burden that being a content creator can be. But Inside's also just like a great movie. I mean, obviously I don't love that he like super destroyed his mental health making it, but like I don't think it's a hot take to say that Inside was a good ass movie. Really, it just comes down to caution. And for me, the stress of making content to have uploaded at a certain time, so I have to like finish it sooner, it has been bugging me a little bit, mainly just because my mind and body are so bad at processing stress. But at the end of the day, if I start getting too stressed out, I just try to remind myself that, like, it's not that serious. It's not the end of the world. This isn't like my job. Like, I just got hired actually to work at a haunted maze as a scare actor at a farm nearby. Like, that's my job. This is like fun, and I hope to make money off of it eventually, but it's not my focus, if that makes sense. So yeah, sorry if this video was a bit rambly or underwhelming. I didn't have like a bullet point or anything. Really just because I honestly don't have a ton to say about this specific subject. I feel like my mental health struggles affect me far more in other parts of my life than they do regarding content creation. I do like accept suggestions or requests or whatever for videos. So like if somebody wants me to talk more about mental health in some way or whatever, like let me know and I'll super do that. I just don't have a lot to say on this particular subject. Apologies to my friend if this was underwhelming. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, then like, subscribe, do all the shit, and I will see you whenever I see you again. Goodbye.